also fun to share a little story about the fabulous Barbra Streisand. All right, many of you I know watching this love Barbra. Now, obviously, she's pretty iconic as far as Fanny Brice is concerned. And as I went on to actually play Fanny in the off-Broadway show and started getting reviews and notoriety, a lot of the things that were written about me in like the New York Times and the Associated Press and the Huffington Post and all of those papers started always, associating my performance with Barbra's and ours being very different but great. And I would have liked to have thought, or I'd like to pretend, that Barbra, if she would read the New York Times or, got any sort of her or her assistant, got any sort of Google alert about Fanny Brice, that they would end up maybe seeing my name and knowing who I was. Being that I also work backstage on Broadway as a wardrobe swing dresser, I was working on the musical Something Rotten on Broadway. And a friend of mine who also worked there, Lissa, I love you dearly, I was not there that day that this announcement went up, but Barbra was doing a radio interview at the Winter Garden Theater to basically advertise her new album. I'm thinking that's what was happening. Can't quite remember. But she was basically going to do a talk back with audience for this radio interview that she was doing. And it was it was only invited audience only, like you couldn't actually get a ticket to go see her. And my friend Lissa sent me a little text message asking if I wanted to be signed up to go. Obviously, I said yes to see Barbra do this interview in person at the Winter Garden, where if you don't know the Winter Garden, that is not only where Fanny Brice played in the Follies, but that is also where Funny Girl premiered with Barbra, which is why they were using the Winter Garden Theater. When I found out that I was going, my fabulous friend, Somi, hi Somi, I'm shouting you out. She said, this is your opportunity to meet Barbra Streisand, or to at least try to get in her trajectory. You need to do something. Like, well, this is the one time that I might have any chance at getting close to Barbra. I should at least introduce myself, if in some way, shape, or form, to this amazing woman who has been an inspiration as part of my journey, and who is one of just me and her, who are really truly the Fanny Brice go-to women. So what my friend Somi, we were chatting, and her idea was I should bring a dozen roses like she gets in Funny Girl. So there is a line in Funny Girl where Nick Arnstein meets Fanny, Barbra's character in Funny Girl, and brings her a blue marble egg and yellow roses. So Somi was like, you need to bring her yellow roses because that means something, as far as Fanny and Funny Girl. And I was like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. So what I did, I can't even believe I did this at this point. I literally bought a dozen yellow roses, and they put them in this nice little vase and, made it look all pretty. In order to go to the talkback, I planned this. So I have a sailor suit that I own because not only do I wear it for my daily going someplace fun or special, but it's kind of like an ode to my playing Fanny Brice because she wears a sailor suit. So I wore my sailor suit because it was ode to Fanny Brice, and I went to the stage door. So there were still many hours to go before she actually had the actual talk back with the radio station. So I wrote out a card that basically introduced myself as the other Fanny Brice go-to gal, and just telling her that she has been one of my inspirations in the creation of what I now do. And, it was very heartfelt, just a little card. And then, in addition, because I'm crazy like that, I put the card on my album so that she could not only have the roses, but she would have the card and my fabulous Fanny Brice album to listen to because, why not? All right, so That day I dropped off the bouquet of flowers and the card and the album to the stage door. And being that I'm someone who works backstage, you know, I know how all that rigmarole goes. And I know that on Broadway, if you drop something off at the stage door, the person who you're sending it to will get it. There's no doubt about that they'll get it. Maybe the assistant will get it or the dresser will get it, but they'll know that it was received and they'll see it. And I had dropped it off like early, so she may not have even been there yet. So it might have just been like sitting on her counter waiting for her. So anyway, okay, so I drop it off and I say, you know, whatever will be, will be. That's the end. And I go to the talk back and I get in and I end up sitting with a fabulous friend of mine, Mark. Hello, Mark. He experienced this with me. It was awesome. So we're just sitting there back in the audience, kind of waiting for things to start. And I look at the stage. And the stage is very specifically designed. You know, they had the chairs for the interviews, and they had these huge, like, I don't know, these massive flowers that were obviously designed for this occasion. And then next to the table, which she was next to the chair that I'm sure she was gonna be sitting at, because there was like a glass of water, there was this, what looked like this small little bouquet of flowers, roses. Yellow roses, people, yellow roses. So I look at it and I'm like, that doesn't really belong on this set because it's, you know, kind of out of place. It's like this little, you know, thing of roses. And I look at it and I get out of my seat, you know, the show hasn't started yet. And I go, and I walked onto the stage because I'm like, wait. My roses, folks. My roses are sitting on the stage at her table with her water. Ah! Okay, anyway, I'm going to show you a photo. So, like, that was so cool. So I'm like, oh my God, she got it. And she was like, put them on the stage. So they put on the stage. So immediately that, like, just made me happy. Just the acknowledgement of the fact that they were on the stage, because you know that Barbra had the complete say of how that stage was going to look for press photos, etc. She has that kind of control. So she's the one who, I'm sure, said, you know, go stick them out there. So, and obviously that means she saw it and, you know, she got the card and the album and the roses. So I am like so excited and so happy. So I'm sitting there and, you know, the interview starts and I just can't get over the fact that my flowers are up there. And then people, and then it gets even better. This is a long story, I'm sorry, but I hope you're all enjoying it. In the middle of the interview, the host, you know, asked her, was it difficult to do the show here 8 times a week? Like, what is it like as an actor? And she said this little story, and as she was saying this story, she had been admiring my flowers, like, throughout, like, touching them and looking at them, kind of admiring them. And she said, so I don't know if my flowers had anything to do with her coming up with this story or not, but she said, you know, there is that little where if you're doing something so much and so often, you can get like a little bored if you're experiencing the same moment again and again and again. And she's like, I used to keep myself busy because there were fake flowers and plants on the stage, and she used to look at them and say, oh my gosh, they were really dusty, like they hadn't been cleaned. So I think she would wipe them a little bit, or like just think about the fact that, oh, these plants and flowers are really dusty. And then and they weren't real. And the fact is that she said they weren't real. But then she literally says this. She then looks at my flowers, looks out at the audience as if like a nod, because I'm going to pretend it was totally a nod to me, and then points at my flowers and said, but these are very real. Ah! So anyway, so it was just like a little nod of like being really appreciative of getting my little bouquet. And, you know, she didn't have to say any of those things. My God, they didn't even have to end up on the stage, and they did. And it was very apparent she put them there because she knew what they were and what they were for and who they were from. So that's my story. And at the end of the interview, I went out to the stage door, and of course there was a crowd of people, and I just watched her walk into her car. And of course I'm in my sailor suit. And, you know, my photo is on my album, but it's not like she had a picture of who I am. And I think I said in my card, you might already know who I am just because our names have been associated together with Fanny. And of course, she gets in the car and it starts to drive away. And on Broadway, cars move really slow because of all the traffic. So I just sort of like walked alongside the car in my sailor suit until they kind of turned away and went away. So that was my story with Barbra. So if any of you know Barbra, I'm really only actually 1 degree away from Barbra because I know other people who know Barbra. But I would love to meet Barbra eventually. If anyone knows Barbra, please share this, or please pass along, or please, I like somehow have these dreams of either her or her assistant obviously have my CD somewhere. And I have these like weird things of like, maybe my CD's like sitting in her like album somewhere like on her shelf. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It makes me happy. And maybe one day I'll get to meet her. And if any of you know her and you want to share this with her, that would be my pleasure, because I greatly look up to her and admire her work and admire her chutzpah and admire what she's done with her career. Never apologetic, an amazing human, activist, talented, and yeah, and that's it. So thank you for listening to my story. I hope that this inspires you. And again, I hope that you'll tune in to my own version of Fanny Brice and my show, Fabulous Fanny, the songs and stories of Fanny Brice. Check out my website, get your ticket, and come on a journey with me. Bye, everybody. It's no wonder that I feel abused.